unlike the other Dylan, he's exclusively electric.
Oh! Hell yes. Hello and welcome to Baseball Barbacast, the only baseball podcast in the world who knows that the real MVP are the moms. I'm Jake Mintz. That's Jordan Shusterman. And Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani's moms should have been given the award.
Yeah, no, we definitely have some historical precedent of trying to make sure it's made very clear who the real MVP is. But on this episode of Baseball Barbacast, we are going to go and focus on the players who the BBWAA electorate have decided are our two MVPs in 2025, and that is our opener.
Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge. Those are your MVPs. And they are not simply your MVPs this year. They are the two giants, the two titans of our sport. And for them to each unleash such a dominant run of MVPdom is truly impressive and special and singular. What they are awarded at the end of the season does not actually meaningfully change what they accomplished during the season, but it is nice to have a record of what was. And when we look back on Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani, and we tell our great-great-grandchildren via brain chip when we're suspended in fluid at 127 years old next to Ted Williams and Walt Disney's heads, and we'll say, these dudes were special. Look at all the MVPs they won. Shohei Ohtani getting his fourth MVP, meaning that only Barry Bonds has more. Barry Bonds is the only player with 7. No one has 6 or 5. Ohtani has 4. And then a number of players have 3, including Aaron Judge, who edged out Cal Raleigh in the AL voting to win his third MVP, his second consecutive third in 4 years. These two are special. They're singular. I feel privileged that we get to watch, witness what they are doing on a regular basis. Jordan, where do you want to begin with MVP talk?
I think we will start with Judge winning over Raleigh, and we are going to, for those of you who listened to our MVP ballot guessing game earlier in this week, we are going to reveal each league's results to each other based on our projections. But before we do that, let's focus on the AL winner, and that is Aaron Judge. And I do think, as we keep Ohtani as part of this conversation, you know, last year was important because they got to both win, right? With Ohtani going to the National League, we did not have to debate Aaron Judge versus Shohei Ohtani. Now, people continue to do so anyway, as I guess they still will do so now. But when that happened, and after last year, it was like, okay, well, this is just what we're going to have. We're just going to have these two guys winning it over and over and over in their respective leagues. And that might still be true. However, Cal Raleigh did indeed make it interesting, giving us the closest, I believe, final result since 2019.
Yep.
Which was interesting because that is the year that Trout beat Bregman. That is Mike Trout's most recent MVP award. But I don't remember, and it was the same vote split, right? Trout got 17 and Bregman got 13. I don't remember that feeling as juicy. It definitely wasn't because the Angels were bad, and I mean the Astros were obviously great. But I think that was still like, well, we can't deny Trout because he's Trout, you know. And he was an amazing season. Bregman led him in WAR. Bregman had this awesome season, but I don't remember that debate, you know, breaking through in a way that this Judge Raleigh thing did for a lot of reasons.
I don't remember anything about 2019, frankly. As far as I'm concerned, it was a different lifetime. I think this debate broke through for a couple reasons. The Judge Raleigh one. One is that Raleigh, it was very easy to understand why what he was doing was special, right? He is catching, he is hitting 60 home runs, he is on a historically depressed franchise, and he is leading them to October, right? That makes sense. Aaron Judge's argument, despite his fame and Yankees-ness, wasn't as sexy this year. The argument for Judge was he is so good at hitting, right? There was no really new narrative. Sure, he won the batting title for the first time, but I'm not sure that holds a whole lot of weight in today's day and age. But it was just Aaron Judge is still the best. And he was, 4% worse than he was the year before as a hitter?
Yeah.
Now, again, what a critique. He was better as a defender because he got to move off center field back to a corner. And so it was just like what Raleigh did was more unique, maybe more special, more memorable in some ways, the home run chase. But I think it is a testament to Judge that he was able to overcome the voter fatigue, and he was able to overcome what Raleigh did. Because I think, who is deserving is a different conversation, right? But Judge overcoming Raleigh's narrative advantage here, I think, is significant and just shows you how dominant he was as a hitter.
And yet, it was close, right? And it could have gone the other way. I think I'll push back, and this isn't just you, and maybe I've even said this as we've speculated about this in the weeks, I never really bought the voter fatigue element of it. I know with the point of he wasn't that really any better than last year. The batting title argument is interesting because it does definitely still carry some weight, but he hit 322 last year. It's not like he jumped up from 280 to 330 this year. He had kind of already brought the batting average component into his game, and he just happened to have the highest one in the league this year, but with nearly an identical on base percentage, with fewer homers, with a lower slugging percentage, but all very similar. But I also push back on the fatigue element because of what I also just brought up earlier about Mike Trout, which is that when you get to this level of kind of universal recognition of, we're watching one of the greatest players of all time, and you really got to knock him out. You really got to, and I don't know what more Raleigh could have done. I guess maybe if Raleigh's batting average was higher than 247, because I have to imagine that maybe gave some people some pause. But mostly it was that Judge was so far ahead of everybody else. And we have already accepted that he's so far ahead of everybody else that it just feels like, there are too many numbers. And maybe that's another way to take about it, is that the average voter now, in I think a good way, is looking at more stuff. And the more you look at, you're probably going to lean towards Judge. I think that is probably a fair way to think about it. Now, again, I think we both said we would have voted for Cal. We would have rewarded the history, how significant, how unique the season was. And clearly a lot of very smart voters ended up in both directions. A lot of, it's really cool. I'll reveal the ballots here in a second. But one of the cool things about this time of year is, we like to get on here and make jokes about all the ballots that are fun, but we know a lot of these people. We've gotten to know a lot of these people in this electorate and understand how they think about ball. And these are people's opinions who we really respect. And I understand that's not the case for a lot of the average fans, because to most fans, It's like, okay, well, they're all just baseball writers, and some of them are stupid, and some of them are smart, and some of them I like reading, and some of them I hate listening to on podcasts, and some it's a much more amorphous blob of people. But for us, I put real weight into what, Tyler Kepner says, to what, some of these other writers, to what Zach Meisel says here in Cleveland, and that's someone that voted for Judge, someone that voted for Raleigh, right? So it's a fun debate. It's I think an appropriate and fair conclusion. And that's obviously what I ended up writing yesterday, is just listen, this really doesn't take anything away from a season that will be remembered for a really long time for Cal Raleigh. And it is more reflective of Judge's greatness than anything Cal did wrong.
All right, tell me the ballot.
All right. We are going to move through this. Again, if you listened earlier this week, we tried to guess every player in each league that would receive at least one MVP vote. And that means if you got one 10th place vote, you are on. You received MVP votes, or vote, whatever. So we are going to go down the ballot, and I'm going to remind people who we thought would get votes and who did not get votes. And then Jake will do the same for the NL. I have not seen the NL results yet. All right, we begin at the top, where Aaron Judge was on all 30 ballots. Surprise, surprise.
What?
First place. Cal Raleigh was on all 30 ballots. Surprise, surprise. Second place.
And
Jose
they
Ramirez
got
on
all the
30
first.
ballots. Yeah.
I assume Raleigh and Judge got all the first and second place votes. Okay.
Yes, they did. However, Jose Ramirez, who was on all 30 ballots, only 19 third place votes. All right.
Okay.
Bobby Witt Jr., who was also on all 30 ballots, also got 19 fourth place votes, 9 third place votes. So that was a very clear top 4, which is relevant because no one else was on all 30 ballots. So immediately we're getting interesting, okay? So how about that? That includes 5th place, Tarek Skubal. 27 ballots. Not on every ballot.
3 people did not rank Skubal.
Oh, yeah.
So this happens sometimes. There are people who just don't vote for pitchers.
Honestly, fine with that. I would vote for Skubal this year, but like I get that. Okay. Obviously we had Skubal. 6th place, Julio Rodriguez.
Good player.
29 of 30. There was one voter who did not vote for Julio. Generally, I'm going to avoid naming names in this process, but you can look at it on PBWA website if you want. 7th place, George Springer, 28 of 30. 8th place, Garrett Crochet,
Okay.
22 of 30. Okay, so we're gonna this is a steep decline here in a second. All right, you're gonna start to see that there was some pretty big discrepancies, but your top 8 was the right top 8 in a slightly different order.
Cool.
9th place, Junior Caminero. Okay,
great.
Only on
had him at 9.
13. Only on 13 of 30.
How many homers did he
so
hit?
I think 45, 46.
Okay.
A lot of home runs.
Just checking it.
And he did get 1 third place vote, which is pretty funny.
Cool.
Love that.
Very cool.
But anyway, that definitely helped get him to 9th place. 10th place, Jeremy Pena, 17 of 30, but nothing higher than a 7th place vote. So everyone just kind of accepted, like, yeah, we got to have Jeremy Pena on there, or a majority had Jeremy Pena on.
Sure.
10th place. All right. 11th, Byron Buxton, 14 of 30. Okay. Good for Byron Buxton. All right, now it's getting interesting. 12th place, Nick Kurtz, 11 of 30, including a 4th and 5th place vote. Wow. Nick Kurtz, 12th place. 13th, this one is maybe the most shocking one for me. Vlad Jr. only appeared on 5 ballots. What are we doing?
How many would he appear on if you did it after the postseason, right? Like,
oh my God. Right. So, yeah, that kind of shocked me. Okay. But whatever. He's on there. We said he was 100% lock. And I'm sure that Springer took away a lot of votes from him. So I recognize that that's a big part of it. 14th, Cody Bellinger. 3 votes. Okay, so we're already down. Again, we're running out of players here already. I hope you recognize that there's some players that were left off very clearly. Cody Bellinger gets 3 votes. 15th place. I was correct about this one. I bullied you into agreeing with me, and that was Maikel Garcia.
Yep.
Who got 4 votes and finished 15th.
Thanks for bullying me.
16th, Bo Bichette. 2 votes.
Yep.
Okay, so we do have another Blue Jay on there, and that is Bo Bichette. The last player to receive multiple votes, and then we have 3 who got 1 10th place votes, was Riley Green. This was one that you convinced me on. I was a little skeptical because of how bad he finished. He finishes 17th. He got 2 votes. Riley Green.
Now, what I see...
There are 3 players remaining. Yeah.
Is that neither of those voters were in Detroit, which I think is interesting.
Yes, correct. There were some other ones along those lines somewhere. You're spoiling it for yourself. That's fine. Players remaining. We have 3.
I haven't seen the other names.
Players left. Oh, okay. There are 3 players left who got 1 10th place vote. The first one is a feather in your cap, sir, and that is Aroldis Chapman, who received one 10th place vote, I believe, from the aforementioned Tyler Kepner. Very interesting. The other two, one of which I believe I did mention, but definitely would not have picked, and then one of which we did not mention at all. One of them is Yandy Diaz, who Zach Meisel voted for. Love that. Love Zach. Zach also is the only one that voted Vlad like 6th, so he was laughing all the way through the postseason, saying, "Ha ha ha, this guy's awesome." Yandy Diaz, which again, you're like, Yandy Diaz played a whole season. I think was 7th in WRC plus in the American League.
Good hitter.
You're just going, who were the best hitters? Which
Right.
Again, same thing with Vlad, consistent. And then finally, courtesy of the San Francisco chapter, by a voter named Manolo Hernandez, who I'm not familiar with, Jacob Wilson, 10th place. And Jacob Wilson is our final MVP vote of the American League this year, which means, to be clear, those who did not receive votes include Gunnar Henderson, which you bullied me into thinking he was, and he was not.
Jacob Wilson over Gunnar Henderson is hilarious and preposterous. And I have not looked at this yet. The person who voted for Kurtz really high is probably in the Oakland, San Francisco market and also had Wilson on the ballot, right? Like that's definitely what happened.
Correct. That is, yes. So no Gunnar, which by just war and production is no Jazz. We were split on that one.
Fascinating.
No Corey Seager. No Jonathan Aranda, although I guess, Yandy Diaz kind of snags that vote. But yeah, that's it. I mean, again, there were some other guys we mentioned, like no Kirk, no Bregman, no Ben Rice, but for the most part, nothing stunning. I think the lack of Vlad support was surprising. No Gunnar, maybe a little bit surprising. And Kurtz, jumping all the way up, and Caminero only getting 13 of 30, I think surprised me a little bit. But there you go. There's the American League results, and now I'm excited for the National League results. But before we do that, I think we should talk about Shohei Ohtani. Do you have any other takes on the American League?
Nope.
All right, let's talk about Ohtani.
I think this was pretty straightforward. I'm mostly surprised by Jazz, I think.
Yes. I had one more thing about American League. Tyler Wade. Tyler Wade was in the background of Aaron Judge accepting his latest and greatest.
Who's Tyler Wade, Jordan?
Tyler Wade, who this year, you know what Tyler Wade did this year?
I believe he played in like 103 games for the Padres, would be my guess.
Not quite. He played in 59 games for the Padres and had a 561 OPS. Tyler Wade has bounced around the A's, Angels, and Padres the last 4 years since departing the Yankees, where he is just Aaron Judge's BFF. It's very simple. These guys are homies. And, I know we saw some Pirates teammates at Paul Skenes' party. We'll talk about that later. But I just love that Tyler Wade. It's like, this is not just like, oh, look, Aaron Judge and Tyler Wade are talking before the game. They're still friends. It's like, no. These guys are freaking tight. And I love that it was just like Judge's wife, dogs, family, Tyler Wade. And I think one other friend who I didn't recognize. But Tyler Wade getting in the background. Salute. All right. Let's go to the National League, where Shohei Ohtani wins again. I think what is
unanimously.
First of all, I love that unanimously, of course. I love that now we are expanding the. I wish I had the screenshot from it, but I know that there were a couple examples of this. Now we are no longer like talking about baseball MVPs when we're talking about Ohtani. Yes, you can say, okay, only Bonds has more. But now it's like, okay, who's got the most MVPs in a 4-season span in sports in America? And it's like Wayne Gretzky and LeBron and Bill Russell and Kareem. And, it's like, that's what we're doing now, right? And I think that that's appropriate because that is what Ohtani has done. While, yes, Aaron Judge is also almost on the level, certainly within baseball, he is in his own tier with Ohtani. I think that's fair. But Ohtani has now officially kind of expanded beyond what our sport is capable of offering him from a fun fact and accomplishment standpoint, whether it's, championships, whether it's MVPs, whether it's just all these things. And then, of course, just like straight up fame. And yeah, that's what we're talking about. We are talking about a guy who has transcended and who continues to just broaden the scope of what we think is possible on a baseball field. And I am very grateful that we are living at the same time to watch it all the time.
And no one has really challenged him in a bit. So he has now won 3 in a row and 4 of 5. All 4 of his wins have been unanimous.
Yeah.
The only person that has bested him in the last few years was Aaron Judge when they were in the same league. And Aaron Judge had 62 home runs. And even still, 2 people voted for Shohei Ohtani that year. So when Ohtani wins, again, 4 years, Ohtani has won. No one else has gotten a vote. I hope next year, that's 2 in the AL, 2 in the NL. I hope next year someone gives him a run for his money a little bit so like we can get something of a race. What would need to happen? Like he's bad as a pitcher or he misses some time, right? Like it's the only way to do it because if Ohtani was like pretty good at one thing and pretty good at the other, there's still an argument he's the MVP and he's superb at both. And next year with a full year of pitching presumably under his belt, who knows? There's so many things to say and there's also nothing left to say. So let's move on to our game unless you have something else.
No, please. I'm excited for these results. Let's do it.
Okay. I'm going to go in order of finish here. And I'm going to fly through the beginning.
Please.
Shohei Ohtani, 30 ballots. First place finish.
Woo!
Cody Bellinger. Don't know why I said Cody Bellinger's name. That's not right. Kyle Schwarber. Unbelievable
Cody
brain
Bellinger,
fart.
back in the National League. Getting second in
Cody Bellinger.
MVP voting. All right, Kyle Schwarber. Second place.
Second place. 23 second place votes, 5 third place votes, a 4th and a 5th. Juan Soto, third place, all 30 ballots, 4 second place votes, 15 third place votes. Fourth place, Geraldo Perdomo.
Hell yes. Hell yes.
Who is on 29 ballots.
Oh. Ooh. Can I just say,
and I'm going to
quickly, yeah. Oh yeah. Please, I don't know if you're going to dox or if you're going to, how's this going to work?
It's not doxing, it's public.
It's doxing if people are too lazy to go look at the answer.
Okay. The only person who did not vote for Geraldo Perdomo, and this will become relevant later, is Thomas Harding, who is the MLB.com writer that covers the Colorado Rockies.
Oh
okay?
my goodness.
So Thomas Harding got a great look at Geraldo Perdomo all year in the NL West and said, thanks, but no thanks.
Can I say one thing about Perdomo?
Sure.
We have not talked about him enough this season.
No.
Obviously, part of the story of Cal's season is he signs this extension and he immediately goes like, super duper God mode. That's what Perdomo did for an extension half the size. He signed an extension around the same time before the season, and he just rattled off 7 WAR, upped his homers, played almost every game, switch hitting shortstop, amazing defense, he is a freaking beast. So love that for him. Seems like an awesome person also. So that's badass. 4th place. How about them Snakes?
All right. Trey Turner, 5th place, 22 ballots. He received 1 third place vote from friend of the program, Gabe Lax. Paul Skenes, 6th place on 20 ballots.
Nice.
Corbin Carroll, 7th place on 24 ballots. Fernando Tatis Jr., 8th place on 21 ballots. And now I would say our first surprise of the voting, Pete Crow Armstrong, 9th place on 17 ballots. And so it seemed that his second half slide did not deter voters from throwing him on there. The defense certainly helped. PCA finishes in 9th place in MVP voting.
That is pretty surprising. And again, we were very confident he would still get votes as bad as he was in the second half. I think I even said, I don't know if he's going to finish in the top 10. That is surprising. You say the defense helps. The defense, I would say.
The defense
yes,
is.
I know he went 30-30, but right, I think he went 30-30. But the defense, from a WAR standpoint, that's really what's pushing him to where he is on the leaderboard, which is why he probably was hard to ignore for voters. But I mean, awesome. We love PCA, so good for him.
10th place, Francisco Lindor.
Okay,
on
that was my
18
next.
ballots.
I was wondering if I assumed he would be coming up here.
Pete Alonso, 11th place on 10 ballots.
Okay. It's a little higher than
a little lower
thought,
than I think a little lower than I thought.
Oh, okay. I mean, whatever. We both agreed he would be on there for sure. So
now, two interesting ones. In 12th place, Christian Yelich, who is on 9 ballots, who I said and you did not.
Wow.
Okay.
Damn. Then that's my biggest whiff. That he was on 9 ballots. Because you're right. It's like he's the Brewer. His stats don't jump off the page. He had a bunch of RBIs. It was a good season, but it wasn't. I mean, in my head, it wasn't anything particularly special. We know he wasn't really bringing much defensively. So it's okay. So that was like, all right, there's our Brewer pick, which now I'm really wondering if any other Brewers got picks. Okay, got votes.
Now, he got 1 4th place vote. Everything else was 6th or lower. And that 4th place vote was from Thomas Harding.
Milwaukee? Oh. Hell
Stay
yeah,
tuned.
Thomas. That's so funny. Okay. All right, sure.
In 13th place, a whiff on both our parts, Freddie Freeman, who is on 9 ballots.
9 ballots? Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, we dismissed him too quick because we were so focused on Will Smith and Yamamoto, who hasn't been mentioned yet. Okay.
And he got 1 3rd place vote.
Okay. Man, talk about the World Series. Thomas Harding. The World Series.
Thomas Harding.
The World Series residual. I do kind of like that. Like, again, Thomas is. I had a great conversation with Thomas.
Thomas Harding
this year. I do think that there's something to like. Thomas was covering the worst team, one of the worst teams ever, and so like the guys that were doing it for the best teams, right? The Brewers and the Dodgers. It's like those are the guys. Anyway, okay. Wow.
14th place. 8 ballots, Bryce Terang. We both said that. Whew. So there was another.
All right, we were both on that one. Yep, good.
15th place, 8 ballots, Christopher Sanchez.
Yep.
16th place, 2 ballots, but a 4th and a 5th place vote. Michael Busch, Chicago Cubs.
Whoa. Okay. All right. That's good. We were both on that one, but we're running out of votes now. Okay.
Next up, a whiff from Jacob Jordan. In 17th, Manny Machado, who we didn't even mention.
Yes, he was on a list on here that literally says didn't mention, but maybe should have. So, although didn't we get burned picking Machado or no, I guess Machado would have got votes last year. The Padres have been difficult to predict, so I don't feel that bad about that.
That is true. Now, Machado got 1 6th place vote. Got a 7th and 2 10s. The 6th place vote was from?
I'm sensing a theme, but here's the thing about this Thomas Harding ballot, which I am excited to find out the end result of, because that is really all I care about for the purposes of this reveal. But I assume that Thomas Harding did indeed vote for Manny Machado 6th.
Yes, he did. In 18th place, Matt Olson on 4 ballots.
Okay. Great. We had him.
In 21st place, I'm going to skip here, on 2 ballots is Will Smith. Okay.
Whew. Okay, man.
There are 4 players left, and they were all on just 1 ballot. Okay.
Oh boy. Okay. Looking at who we have left here. Okay.
Nico Horner, who you said 19th place on just 1 ballot.
I'll take it.
Mark Sheldon, who covers the Reds for MLB.com, had him 6th.
I will take 6th. I mean, yeah, if we're going by WAR, I think that's totally defensible. So love that.
All
okay,
right.
That's a win for me, getting Horner.
On 1 ballot, a name we did not mention. In 20th place, Seiya Suzuki.
Okay, again, it's just like we probably didn't say his name, but I was just like a lot of Cubs. No Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker's not been mentioned, or is he about to be mentioned?
So Seiya Suzuki, one ballot on who voted for him?
I mean, we're only saying the same guy over and over, but aren't we running out of spots?
Who is it?
Was
Who
it
is
Thomas Harding?
It was Thomas Harding. Right. In 22nd place, with one vote, Ketel Marte,
Oh, yes. That's another win for me.
who you said.
Only one, but that's okay. I'll take that.
One vote. He got one 9th place vote from.
I hope not Thomas Harding, because we're running out of room for my great pick.
Thomas Harding.
I feel like we've named like 20 votes. How many spots did he
And
have?
last but not least, with one 10th place vote,
Come on.
Ellie De La Cruz.
No. Oh.
Ellie De La Cruz got one 10th place vote, courtesy of Thomas Harding.
Come on, dude. Oh, Thomas, I'm gonna have it out with him, dude. I'm gonna have to go to Rocky's camp in spring training, or if I see Thomas at if I see Thomas at the winter meetings, I'm gonna say, hey man,
Yeah.
what the heck? How are
Incredible
you diverting this hard from everybody else while not throwing my man Hunter Goodman a vote, just like you did with Ezekiel Tovar last year?
Okay.
Ugh,
So yeah,
damn it.
pretty great. Pretty great. So
Holy
again,
crap.
we have singled out Thomas Harding to a pretty outrageous degree. I think it is
You sure
warranted. The ballot is
He singled
Ohtani,
himself out.
Schwarber, Freeman, Yelich, Soto, 5th, Machado, Alonso, Suzuki, Marte, Ellie. No pitchers. No
Right.
Corbin Carroll. No Perdomo. No Trey Turner.
No Carroll.
No PCA. So
Interesting.
the guys who
Can
did
I
not
make
get a
one-
vote, who we mentioned.
There's a lot of guys that we
Yeah.
well, not a lot, not too many.
Yamamoto, no votes. Sal Frelick, that was a pick on my part. Shot in the dark, no votes. James Wood, no votes. Kyle Tucker and Gino Suarez, no votes. Hunter Goodman, obviously, you missed. And then Kyle Stowers, no votes. The Miami chapter did not show up.
Damn.
And for Kyle Stowers, probably a good thing. And those are your NL MVP results.
Dang. So yeah, I mean the Yelich, I think the Frelick one you make up having gotten Yelich right. We did pretty balanced here. I think we did a pretty decent job.
Yeah.
The Hunter Goodman one is a heartbreaker. My last point about MVP voting that I just want to say, I know that we say like, oh well, because there's a lot of examples of this. So it's like, okay, did the person from that division vote for the guys in his division, or vote against the guys in his division, blah blah blah, or his division, whatever. I do think that like people being like, oh, this person saw this guy play really well, and then he or she voted for them. It's like, yeah, I'm actually kind of fine with that, because like that's why we go to the ballpark and cover the games. You know, like I think that that's kind of and by the way, that does not hold true across the board. You can see voters who, I'm not going to give specific examples, but it's like, wow, I'm surprised they didn't vote for them, even though that player destroyed this team in a certain split. Every voter is welcome to do it however they want, but I think that the criticism of just like, well, they just saw them play well. It's like, well, yeah, because as BBWA members, we're trying to go to the ballpark and watch the games and make it, and, you know, have an opinion based on watching the players play. And I think that that's for the most part okay. Obviously, we all try and do this objectively. You don't want to pretend like the only thing you see, the only thing that matters is what you see. Of course, I'm not saying that. But I think it's totally reasonable to have, you know, a strong impression made on you by someone you covered in person, even if it's for a series. So that's just one thing, big picture thing I was thinking about now that we are, you know, a part of this electorate.
I do love that the guy who covers the Rockies did not vote for a pitcher. That feels appropriate. Okay, let's take a break. And when we get back, we will talk about how Paul Skenes, the only thing he wants in life is to play for the Yankees. And welcome back to Baseball Barbacast. That was the MVP chat. Let's do Cy Young, because since we last talked, the Cy Youngs were named. Paul Skenes in the National League, Tarek Skubal in the American League. But we're going to focus on Skenes because there was a little bit of news this week. News is probably too generous. There was some tabloid jibber jabber about Paul Skenes this week. So we'll get into it. So first things first, Paul Skenes unanimous. First Cy Young of his career. What a thing. Last year when he won Rookie of the Year and finished in third in the Cy Young, he, said during an interview, I can't remember where it was, basically, I want to make it easier on voters next year. He did that. 30 first place votes. Christopher Sanchez getting 30 second place votes, I think is like a very impressive accomplishment, because it's like, if not for that guy, obviously you. And so Christopher Sanchez, despite not getting a single first place vote and not winning, should feel pretty good. Not a whole lot of interesting down ballot stuff here. In my opinion, Zach Wheeler gets one fifth place vote from friend of the program, Kylie McDaniel. I was surprised he wasn't on more ballots, considering he ended up throwing 150 innings, and he didn't pitch like after late August. Very, very cool. That's the National League. Just quickly, I guess, in the American League, Skubal gets 26 of 30 first place votes. Crochet getting 4. That's fine. When you look at the bulk that Crochet provided, right? Like, he threw more innings than Skubal, and a lot of the rate stuff was similar enough that I think you could justify a Crochet vote. I am someone who prefers bulk if I ever vote for Cy Young. So I get the vote. And then down ballot there, Rodon gets some votes. We got Hunter Brown, obviously, in third, Fried in fourth, Wu, Rodon, Chapman, Jacob deGrom, Trevor Rogers, and Drew Rasmussen bringing up the rear. But let's zoom in on Skenes, who is if not the best pitcher in the world, clearly in the top 3. And it has happened almost immediately. He is still 23 years old. This is just his second year. And yet the conversations about him as a Pittsburgh Pirate have already grown quite loud. Now, that is understandable, considering that he is good and his team is bad, and that is the case. Trade, chatter will pop up whenever those two things exist around any player in any sport. But things reached a bit of a fever pitch this week with Paul Skenes.
Yeah, and what those conversations are actually like, what that actually means. Is it just fans on Twitter trying to manifest him being traded to their favorite team? Is it like actual reporting? And what we had this week was, I guess, a blend of the two, where we have some reporting from Randy Miller of New Jersey Advanced Media. Essentially,
is this reporting?
I mean, that's what he's calling it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to call it. Reporting, citing a Skenes teammate with some quotes suggesting that Paul Skenes does not want to be on the Pirates anymore, that Paul Skenes wants to be a Yankee. This anonymous Pirates teammate that is being quoted as saying, "Trust me." He said this plenty of times,
bro.
that he wants to be. Trust
me,
bro.
He would walk around the clubhouse, and he would holler, "Yankee
he would just,
me."
Wah, I don't want to be here anymore. Yeah. Trust me.
He would wear pinstripes on the team plane. He would. He was watching videos of the bleacher creatures.
He was watching the Yankees. Yep. He was just like doing the. He's he's a Yankees fan. All he wants to do is be on the Yankees. And now here's the thing. At this point in the conversation, we could go hard into the premise itself and who this anonymous teammate could be, because again, Paul Skenes hasn't been around for very long, and there's only a certain number of players that would probably be talking to New York media. We could go hard into that on its own. We could do that. That is an option.
Sure.
However, in this Choose Your Own Adventure podcast, we are instead going to focus on another way to push back against the premise of this report, and that is to just talk about Paul Skenes from our observations, but also using Paul Skenes' words himself and Paul Skenes' story and what Paul Skenes has essentially always been about. And while, yes, obviously, as people who observe this sport, we too can look at the Pirates situation and the fact that, while it has only been 2 years, they have not given us a lot of reasons for optimism that they are going to win around Paul Skenes. That is a real conversation we are allowed to have and will probably continue to have in some form in the coming years. What we will not do is pretend like that this is reflective at all of who Paul Skenes is as a person. And when Paul Skenes was asked about this, and kind of in the way that he just talked about what this award meant to him and just what he is thinking about right now, I think that gives us a better sense of kind of where Paul Skenes' headspace is at.
Okay. Can we pull the quote back up? Like that was on all the graphics. I think it says, "Trust me, he wants to play for the Yankees. I've heard him say it multiple times." I don't believe that. I'll say it. I believe that this was relayed to Randy Miller by someone. You can spend a little time online and figure out who. But I just don't, I think that either this is out of context or this didn't happen because like, okay, so here's an example, right? Would I like to work at ESPN, right? If ESPN said, "Jake, we want to pay you a lot of money to, talk about baseball," I'd be like, yes. I don't think that's insulting to my employers here at Yahoo Sports, who I love, a place we love working at, right? But like, yeah, that would be cool if it all came together. Sure. But like, that is how Paul Skenes is thinking about this. If someone said to Paul Skenes, "Hey, do you want to play for the Yankees?" He'd be like, "Yeah, that'd be pretty cool one day." But that is so different than Paul Skenes like walking up to a teammate and be like, "You know what I like? I want to play for the Yankees," right? That's what I want. It just is not how this guy moves. We have been fortunate enough to interact with Paul Skenes a number of times over the last couple of years. I sat down with him for 20 minutes one-on-one in spring training. We talked to him when he was at LSU in college. We chatted with him at the All-Star game this year. Paul Skenes is not someone who is like trying to get out. He's not a jump ship guy, okay? I think that has been evidenced by his behavior over the years. I think it is evidenced by how difficult it was for him to leave Air Force and jump plane to go to LSU. That was a no-brainer decision. Every step of the way, whether it's financial, his career. If he had stayed one more year at Air Force, he would have had to serve and then would have just been in the Air Force for 5 years. And we probably like wouldn't be talking about Paul Skenes at all, right? Like people would not know Paul Skenes' name. Be like, "Oh, wow, he just finished his service. He's coming back." Instead, he goes to LSU. And I think that was a difficult decision for him. It was an obvious decision, but a difficult one. And that just shows you that this is a guy that is not looking for the easy way out. Do I think he will eventually be traded by the Pirates who don't spend any money? Maybe. Probably. Sadly. Do I think Paul Skenes will initiate that? No, I do not. I think Paul Skenes is in Pittsburgh. He is there to win. He does not have a half of an eye on the next job, right? He wants to be there and he wants to win there. Because if you win there, you are eternal there. And that is the thing. That is what is alluring about being in a place like Pittsburgh right now, is that if you win, you get a statue, brother. And Paul Skenes is someone, clearly, who understands greatness, right? And he thinks that he can help build it where he is.
Yeah, and that's the big part, I think, is this is not someone, again, we can look at their development or their track record of developing hitters and the fact that they've gone backwards and keep losing. We can very reasonably do that and objectively say, I don't really believe in the Pirates. But if you're Paul Skenes and all you've done over the last 4 years is essentially will your way through a combination of unbelievable talent and work ethic to essentially whatever it is that you have set your mind to, I can understand Paul Skenes being like, we're going to win. We're going to win at Pittsburgh, and I'm going to be a part of that because I'm Paul Skenes. I'll make it happen. We know that Paul Skenes can only do so much because he only starts, 30 to 33 games a year.
Let him hit.
But I do think that, and he's not going to suddenly turn the Pirates into a $200 million payroll. But I do think that the more that he speaks, and again, we're not even doing his kind of quotes justice. Like I encourage everyone to go read the stories that came out after he won and just him talking about the city and talking about what his motivation level is and his involvement in the recent hiring of their new pitching coach, Bill Murphy, and just like, this is something that he wholeheartedly believes, like, yes, I am going to be part of a winning Pirates team. And while we can doubt that because of all the things that have nothing to do with him, who are we
It
to
won't be
tell
his
Paul
fault.
Skenes that he can't do something? Who am I to say? And yeah, you can squint and be like, no, this is a pretty freaking good pitching staff. They only need a couple hitters, and it's the NL Central. Who knows? They don't deserve the benefit of the doubt, unfortunately, right now. Paul Skenes, though, he absolutely does. The Pirates do not deserve, our defense from they are building. No, they don't. They haven't earned that. Paul Skenes has. Paul Skenes deserves the belief that this report, this suggestion, is at worst, misleading, or at best, I would say misleading, and at worst, just completely nonsensical. And so that's where we're at.
Unfortunately, it worked.
Fortunately,
it worked because we're talking about it, and I guarantee this got Mondo clicks.
Yep.
But it is just not. It's just misconstruing the way that professional athletes think about their careers, really, right?
Yeah. But especially,
it's like, I'm sure Paul Skenes, when he played I believe he started in Yankee Stadium at the end of his rookie year. It was like gross out and raining. I'm sure it was like, this is a cool place to pitch. That would be cool to pitch here one day. But it's not like taking up his thoughts. He's not dreaming of the Bronx, right? That is not really happening. The job, to be good at the job, you have to be so laser focused that you can't really think about the big picture all that often. Like, I think about Kyle Schwarber, who all year was like, I asked him this on the record and off the record. It's like, are you thinking about free agency? He was like, honestly, no. He's like, I'm not. Like, I do not have the mental energy to DH every day and hit 50 whatever home runs and run a clubhouse and think about where I'm going to live or play next year. It's just like, that time will come. I will get there. These dudes are so good at compartmentalizing because it's the way that they succeed, right? Yes, they are making millions of dollars because they're very skilled at hitting or throwing ball, but they have these elite mental skills in order to compartmentalize, and I think that is just how they operate. And I think reporting this shows a distinct misunderstanding of that dynamic in a way that is frankly embarrassing, whether or not it was said. And so I think it's just kind of like lazy and disappointing is what I would say. Anything else on Skenes or Cy Young chat, or should we take a break and get to Boras time?
We got a lot of fun in the third block. We'll be right back on Baseball Barbacast.
And welcome back to Baseball Barbacast. For those of you watching on YouTube, you may have noticed a wardrobe change on my part. The Yahoo Sports hat is gone, and in its place, the Boras B. Jordan. The offseason has truly begun.
It is time, folks, for the reintroduction of perhaps our favorite off-season segment. It is a segment that will track the wins, losses, and draws of super agent Scott Boras, and we like to call it the Sco-Bo. It is the Scott Boras scoreboard, where we get to decide anything that happens involving super agent Scott Boras, whether it was a win, a loss, or a draw. That includes most prominently, however, we do have a couple other categories along the way. But mostly what we're talking about are the contracts that his clients sign as free agents, or the horrific puns and or jokes that he decides to ascribe to his clients as he pumps them up going into free agency. Now, the latter is what we are going to focus on in this edition of the Sco-Bo. But before we get to his GM meetings performance, what would you like to say?
I would just like to reintro the concept of this segment. I think this is both done to celebrate Scott Boras and to make fun of Scott Boras. I think both of those things are important. He is both a odd character that insists on making puns, and he is also one of the most influential human beings in our sport. And to track how he's doing is both useful and kind of fun, and that is why I'm repping my favorite team on this episode, Scott Boras' hat. If anybody with Boras Corp is watching or listening, please send me more Boras Corp merch. If anybody with any team's agency is listening, I'll wear it to the gym. I will. I have, in fact, worn, one time, Jordan, I wore an outfit that were 3 different agencies. I wore sweatpants, a sweatshirt, and a hat to the gym. No one at the Planet Fitness in Harlem, no free ads, got the joke that I was very confused. Okay, so let's hop into this here. For those of you that are unfamiliar with this shtick, Scott Boras at the GM meetings and then later on at the winter meetings holds an impromptu press conference. It is ridiculous. Every reporter's just like, hey, what about this guy you represent that was on the team I cover? And then he makes a pun about that guy, and then it moves on to the next player. These puns are absurd. They're ridiculous. I believe it has been reported that like they do a prep session where they all the other Boras people come in with ideas for him, and then he unleashes them. I have not read any of these yet, Jordan, so I'm going to let you read them, and we will decide whether they are deserving of a win, a draw, or a loss.
Right. So that's how we're thinking about it. We're not giving it like a report card grade, like, is this a win? Is this a loss? Is this a draw? We begin with Alex Bregman. Now, there's some important ones here because, remember, he's had to go through already free agency with Alex Bregman, with Pete Alonso, with Cody Bellinger. And so he's kind of already emptied the clip in terms of some categories with these players. He's got to come up with some new material. It's an interesting challenge. And here is how he decided to lean in to Alex Bregman having had a wonderful season with the Boston Red Sox. Quote, in Boston, we learned a lot about Bregman at 25 because in Boston prior to 25, they had a lot of lineup do not holes. That's how he pronounced it. He said it. I'm just telling you how he said it.
Do not holes.
Oh, what is he saying? Do not. Okay. What is he talking about? Certainly prior to 25, Boston has been a kind of a club that has Duncan well below the playoff line. I think it was a bad roast in Beantown. Give the owners credit. In 25, they went out and spent some Starbucks to bring in a Bregman blend that led them to the playoffs. I'm sure the Boston fans don't want this to just be a cup of coffee. And no one wants a Brexit.
Whoa, politics.
So,
okay.
For those keeping track, we have 7 coffee references and then Brexit.
This is a loss. This is an L. The Brexit joke is great, and he should have just done that. But besides Dunkin' Donuts, there's nothing to connect Alex Bregman to coffee. So this is a loss.
I agree. He got a little greedy. We go to Cody Bellinger. This one is a Top Gun reference that I don't understand, so you're going to have to help me.
Have you never seen it?
Nope. Cody Bellinger.
Okay.
Quote, when you look at 25, I'd say among all the free agent outfielders, he was the top gun of the class. He was defensively a versatile viper in the outfield, playing both first base and all 3 outfield positions. He was kind of offensively a middle of the lineup Merlin in the sense that he provided power and production. The other thing about Belly is unique for a guy his age. He's played in all 3 markets, LA, Chicago, New York. So really, in many ways, he's an urban maverick.
Urban maverick. Does he use the word rooster at some point?
Not that I saw.
Okay.
But there's time to bring that back at the winter meetings.
So here's my thought. Why Top Gun for Cody Bellinger?
You tell me.
That's a loss. Next one.
Pete Alonso. Quote, there's no doubt Pete's pursuers are primed to pay the power piper. Pete picked a perfect period to play preeminently at a primary position.
Not a primary
playoff
position.
Parched. Yeah, I know. I was like, what? A playoff parched plethora will pounce to participate in the polar plunge.
Win.
So polar plunge he used last year.
Okay.
But the epic alliteration beforehand was a new wrinkle that I certainly appreciate.
Yeah.
I think you have to dock him a little bit for calling first base a primary position, especially when this question was in response to, will Pete Alonso be willing to DH more? But
this is new.
I still
This
think
is new. Just peeing everywhere.
Also, he's peeing all over the place. Also, you know I will support alliteration.
Yes.
I married into it. All right, next one. Now, this is a nice little bonus.
Sure.
Because Tarek Skubal's not a free agent, but he sure is in the news, and Scott Boras represents him, which means he was asked about it. Basically asked about the premise of Skubal staying in Detroit, getting traded, signing an extension, whatever.
He was ready. He came. This is the other thing. Remember, like, he's got to be ready for the questions. And it's funny sometimes if he gets asked about a player that he's not ready for, and he's like, yeah, Michael Conforto is getting a lot of interest. It's like, okay.
He's like, come back to me. Ask me at the winter meetings. This one is wild. This is probably my favorite. My favorite one. Sorry. Scott Boras on Tarek Skubal. All we know is that the fans in Detroit want the Tigers to build a Tarek barrack. First of all, I like this one just because it helps people understand how to pronounce Tarek.
Sure, it does make sense.
That's a win.
Though.
Doesn't make sense. Tarek barrack. I don't know what a Tarek barrack is. How about this next line? The Little Caesars are running around town saying sigh, sigh.
Is that like pizza?
That's the thing. I don't know what it's a Cy Young reference. It's a Little Caesars reference. I don't know what this is a reference to. But Little Caesars. This one I think is good. Talking about the concept of him signing an extension. They understand that the organization is substantially different if he's not there. And he talks about the fans being like, the fans are letting their voice heard. They want him to be there.
Sure, great.
It's kind of like it should be Scooby done, right?
Oh, that's good.
That's good.
That saves. This is a draw.
It's really good. I really like that one.
It's a draw.
And then
he
followed up with, again, then he's getting greedy. I think the fans would certainly think it's a Detroit doink if they don't. But here's my other pushback on this. Again, he's talking about like,
oh yeah,
you know, it should be done. Scooby done. Give him $1 million bajillion. But like, you're not agreeing to an extension. So like, why are we even pretending that you're going to? I mean, again,
because if it's
prove us wrong. Yeah, if the Ilitch family gives you $300 million, maybe you say yes. But anyway, all right, a few more. Zach Gallen. Let's talk about Zach Gallen. This one is just
it's quart or pints.
Standard.
Right?
Quote, you really learn after being in these rooms that the available starting pitchers is pint size. I guess that's supposed to say it's not very much.
Maybe it's a Riley pint.
Not a lot of available starting pitchers. So we know, was Riley pint Boras? Good question. So we know a lot of teams are going to be courting Gallen. Gets better. There's not an ounce of truth that Gallen couldn't fill up a rotation.
When
courting.
Courting is great.
Yeah.
W.
Next up. This one's short and sweet. This is about Dylan Cease. Quote, unlike the other Dylan, he's exclusively electric.
Oh! Hell yes. Hell yes.
Win.
Huge win. I mean,
huge dub.
It tells you that I now know Scott Boras went and saw the Chalamet Bob Dylan movie.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got two more. This next one is kind of a weird one, kind of a two-parter. The first one is good. The second one is kind of weird.
There's a weird
Ranger
one?
Suarez.
There's a weird one. No way.
Ranger Suarez.
No way.
On Ranger Suarez, quote, he's got true 4-pitch command. He's really what you'd call the zone ranger.
Lone Ranger.
Oh, wait. We're not there yet. Then he continues. There's no doubt that anyone that looks at the playoffs, if you look at the last 3 or 4 years, that Suarez's playoff quality, well, frankly, he's the Lone Ranger in that category. So was the Zone Ranger just to rhyme with Lone Ranger later? Like, just go with Lone Ranger
Yeah,
playoffs. I think that's good, but I
sure.
don't
The
know what Zone
reason
Ranger. Yeah, I
Zone
guess
Ranger
that's
is
just
not a
a
thing that people say, and actually
yeah.
the problem is that he's not the Lone Ranger in the playoffs because the Rangers won the World Series 2 years ago.
That's a great point. I think that Ranger Suarez's like 1.4 ERA in the postseason is compelling, and this is why this is still a pretty good line. I would still call this a. I think this is a draw. I think this is a draw because he kind of. What do you
I think
think?
it's a loss.
Okay,
He made the same
I
joke
like,
twice, and it doesn't make sense.
but
No.
I'm saying that he undercut himself. I think that the Lone Ranger being like, there's no one else this good in the postseason. You could do enough stat heads to believe that.
Yeah, sure.
I was hoping and maybe expecting
Good jokes,
winter
though.
meetings
You know
for a
what?
little. Yeah.
Good jokes are always best when you have to stat head them to understand it. That's what I'm calling this a loss.
I
Please
think people
continue.
know that Ranger Suarez has been very good, but
That's true.
I want Power Rangers references of the winter meetings. There's your challenge, Scott Boras.
He
All right,
was
last
the
one.
Red Power Ranger.
This one is out of control. I still can't believe this happened. Okay, this is on Japanese right-hander Tetsuya Imai. Okay, Tetsuya Imai. I'm just gonna say that name a couple times. All right, Tetsuya Imai. All right, that's the name of the pitcher. All right, who, by the way, real news, getting posted on November 19th, which means that will take his posting window like January 2nd or 3rd, whatever. Quote, so he's going on, he's saying he's amazing. He's like done everything that Yamamoto has done in the NPB. I'm like, that's not true, but sure, dude, whatever. He's mad because he didn't represent Yamamoto. That's okay. All right, here we go. Here's the quote. When most teams talk to me about Imai, they say, oh my. I'm fine with that. That's fine. It's lame, but like whatever. That's not the part that I'm in shock over, okay? Here's the next sentence. He's that kind of guy. I think when you watch him pitch, he leaves an indelible mark on you. Kind of a Tatsuya.
Huh?
I believe he's making a tattoo reference.
Kind of a tattoo.
Tuzya? Kind of a tattoo-ya?
He should have said tattoo. Kind of like a tattoo.
Tattoo is closer. I think
would
that's
also
what
say,
he's going for.
Would you say that a tattoo is an indelible mark? Like, yes, I guess literally true. But
That's
no one would be like,
that's what he's trying to say.
hey man, I love that new indelible mark you got. Let me take a look.
And say, he continues, so you kind of always remember what you saw. Kind of a Tatsuya. This is like 10 losses in one. Or is it not? Is it a win?
Just a loss. One loss.
Okay. I wasn't tracking exactly those, but
I got it in front of me.
We will up. Okay. What is our Scobo? And then we will do Good, Bad, Uggla and say goodbye.
Boop, boop, boop. 3 wins, 1 draw, and 4 losses right now.
All right.
For Scott Boras after the GM meetings. The Tatsuya Imai one is really putting the rule that each one is just one to the test. I think he should be banned really from Japan as a nation forever. However, again, I just want to emphasize, it is outrageous that the single most impactful agent in our sport decides to just do dumb stand-up comedy the 2 times a year he's the most available to the media. It is both like it seems like a redirect in a way to make misdirection that he doesn't actually have to talk about these guys or say anything significant. But at the same time, it's very odd and delightful. And what is this show if not odd and delightful? Speaking of odd and delightful, let's do the good, the bad, the ugly. One thing good, one thing bad, and one thing ugly from the week that was. I'll begin with my good. If you're not online, which you really shouldn't be, then you probably missed this Tony Vitello versus Joe Maddon brouhaha. Joe Maddon, former big league manager who the game has passed by, went on some form of media to effectively crap on Tony Vitello, the new manager for the Giants, saying that it was insulting that Vitello, as a college coach, got the job as the Giants skipper. And Vitello, he gets good this week for just cruising down the high road, baby. This is via John Shea, who did an exclusive Q&A at the San Francisco Standard with Tony V. He says this, quote, "I get it. I just wonder if he'll still take my call because he was on my list of people that I wanted to call and seek out advice." Boom. When people throw crap at your windows, you say, "Thanks for the crap. Would you like some coffee?" And that is what Tony V is doing here. Taking the high road is just like, when it hits so good because it's like, hey, you're a bum. Hey, I love your shirt. You've disarmed them. You've disarmed them.
Oh, yeah. Now what, Joe Maddon?
Now what, Joe Maddon?
Yeah, it's great. And yeah, it is like, right, Joe Maddon was like, he hasn't managed 25 years on the minors. You can't, what the heck? How did he get this job? It's like, dude. I mean, I understand why we keep having Joe Maddon on our respective media platforms.
I'm done. I'm done with Joe Maddon.
Yeah.
Unless
Certainly
he's going to tell me what Jason Hayward said during the 2016 Game 7 rain delay, I'm good, man.
I agree, though. Tony V crushed this one. So, all right, my good this week. I spent a few days in Arizona doing a little fall league run. There was a lot of great stuff. I had a great time down there, but I just keeping this simple. I attended the fall league home run derby, which was won by a gentleman named Tony Blanco Jr. This was one of the most astonishing displays of raw power I have ever seen in my life. He is 6'7". He is 20 years old. He wears 99. He was hitting balls 120, I believe maxed out at 122. He hit, if you've been to Sloan Park in Mesa, multiple balls to the roof in left field, which is just preposterous when you consider how big the berm is. And again, we've been lucky enough to cover the last 10 home run derbies almost. And we've seen some cool stuff. We've seen Aaron Judge in 17 and Giancarlo in 16 and Vlad in Cleveland and Julio and Bryce Harper. And all these things. And Harper. And you know, in Harper it was a show, but in terms of just like the sheer home runs themselves, you know, Oneil Cruz certainly blew us away this past year. This was top 3 or 4 just I've ever seen. And Tony Blanco is an amazing story. Of course, the really sad part is that his father, Tony Blanco, who had a brief major league stint with the Nationals and then played a while in Japan, he passed away this past year in the tragic roof collapse in the Dominican Republic, which
DR,
also claimed the life of Octavio Dotel. And of course, Tony talked about, you know, winning this for his dad, and his dad didn't get to see him compete in this derby. And again, there's a lot of questions about kind of Tony Blanco as a prospect, just because he's so big and has had a lot of injuries and strikes out a lot. But this was just breathtaking, and it was so cool to see him do exactly what everyone. And when I say everyone, it's not like it was a packed house in Sloan Park, but it was a really, really cool scene, and also like it's one of those best things that we say this about Ohtani and Judge. It's like the best thing is when the players are making the other players freak out. Yeah. And that was a perfect example of this. All of the other players watching him do this was so much fun, and I will remember that forever. So a lot of other fun stuff from Arizona, but we have other stuff to get to. So let's go to the bad.
All right. The Athletics turned their comments on. Okay.
Wow.
Now, the Athletics, the baseball team, which was in Oakland for, I believe, a long time, actually, is currently in Sacramento and will be in Vegas, presumably. They turned their comments off, I believe, 650 some days ago to avoid the internet vitriol that they would have had to sift through. And earlier this week, I believe this was on Monday, the Athletics, or Sunday, tweeted, "From Silver Sluggers to All-Stars to Grand Slams, this season had some pretty electric highlights. Comment your favorite home run our guys hit this year." And this is the first post in basically almost 2 years which comments were on. And guess what people didn't do? They did not comment their favorite home run that the Athletics hit this year. Instead, they let it rip. Now, the Athletics account, and this is why this is bad, the Athletics account just pretended as if they didn't have comments off for the last 655 days, and instead muted and hid a number of replies that they deemed to be too saucy, too spicy. So what I would recommend for people is to go to this tweet. On the top right-hand corner where you see more, you can click View Hidden Replies. And if you want the heat, there is a lot of heat in there. This is just bad. I get it. I feel bad for the people running A's Social. It is clearly not their decision to do this. It is from on high. Just like taking a crap in the middle of a city and pretending like it never happened. I'm just trying to move forward. I get it. One day time will move, and like in the way that no one in Philly is mad that the A's left. In a generation, this maybe will fade, but not now, and it is insulting, and it is bad.
And presumably no turning back. You are now... you can't turn him off again, I would hope.
Oh,
but to your point, it's not the people running these accounts. This is clearly coming from on high, and that is troubling and definitely bad. I agree. Speaking of ownership disappointing the fans, the Padres might be sold by the Seidler family. This is just a really difficult sequence to kind of wrap your mind around. Of course, Peter Seidler, after he passed away, there was a lot of questions and legal disputes regarding who would have control of the San Diego Padres and what it would mean for a franchise that had been run so aggressively with some serious spending devoted towards bringing a championship to San Diego the way that Peter Seidler wanted. Unfortunately, slowly but surely, the Seidler family, led by one of Peter's brothers, John, seems to have been slowly moving in the other direction, which may result in them selling the team. Now, an optimistic interpretation would say, wow, all right, some other rich person who sees the incredible fan base and that they're selling the park and that they have all these great players and will want to buy it and run the Padres at a $200 million payroll or whatever. Unfortunately, this is not one where you can really feel that out. Now, it's at the same time, you might say, well, this family is clearly not going to spend the way that Peter was. And so maybe it'd be best to take the wild card of someone else coming in. But regardless of how we got here and what is best for them moving forward, they have all these massive long-term contracts, basically more than any other team in the sport. And there were real questions about how they were going to be able to afford that. Obviously, all these owners are really rich, but we know that Peter was stretching it beyond what you would normally see for a team in this market and an owner with this amount of wealth. And so, unfortunately, we're now seeing the repercussions of that when the people who are in charge don't really want to spend that money. It's a tragedy because what the Padres fans have gotten to watch without really getting to, the promised land of a World Series has been really cool. And I just hope that this wasn't all for nothing and they're now about to descend back into irrelevance. They have too many good players for I think that to really happen. But this is a really, really troubling bit of news. They're not saying they were selling for sure, but the fact that they're even publicly putting a statement out there saying they're exploring the possibility it's just really sad when you contrast it with kind of the feelings that Peter Seidler kind of gave this fan base. So bad for sure. Bad for sure.
All right, Uggla. I
Uggla.
can't stop thinking about what Emmanuel Clase did on the plane. So Emmanuel Clase, who allegedly did the gambling and the cheating, according to Dave Perdue at ESPN. Emmanuel Clase arrived at JFK Airport this morning from the Dominican Republic, arrested by FBI agents per Eastern District of New York. DOJ spokesperson arraigned at 2 p.m. This was yesterday. And I have flown from Santo Domingo to JFK a number of times. And quite often on that flight, Dominicans like to clap when the plane lands. Did you experience this when you flew into the DR or back from the DR?
Yes, I think
there was more clapping than any plane I'd ever been on, and it has happened to me multiple times. It is a thing. And so I am just giggling at the idea that Clase's flight landed at JFK and like half the plane just started clapping. I have many other thoughts about the flight. What did he do? Did he sit in first class? I hope so.
That was my first question.
Okay, I hope so. Did he get the middle seat in row 38? Did he watch a movie? Did he listen to a podcast? Did he have music? Like, who was with him? Did he have to like waiting for his bag, like his luggage? You're just standing there.
Also,
next to
I don't know how it
airport.
works. I'm gonna say,
where do they get you?
Silly sense. I don't know how it works when the FBI picks you up at the airport. Do you go through the terminal?
Do you do customs first?
Well, that's a whole other question. But yeah, like, are you just straight off, like, right to the tarmac into the van, or like?
Is it like in the cab line?
I don't know. Right.
If you've ever been arrested by the FBI in an airport, please let us know. Baseballbarbacast at gmail.com.
Oh yeah. Uggla indeed. All right. My Uggla, speaking of the Dominican Republic, is something that is happening in the Dominican Winter League. A player. Are you familiar with the pitcher Giancarlos Henriquez?
Nope.
All right, so this is going to be a very simple one, then we're going to say goodbye. I want you to pull up Gene Henriquez, Jake. I want you to pull up his MILB.com page, all right? And I want you to scroll down to his transaction log, okay?
Sure.
And I want you to just read me, starting from the farthest back.
Okay.
Just read me his transactions, all right? And then we're
June 3rd, 2014, Gene Henriquez assigned to Dominican Summer League Rays. October 9th, 2015, Dominican Summer League Rays released right-handed pitcher Gene Henriquez. October 15th, 2025. That's a decade.
That's next. That's the next transaction.
That's a decade. Gene Henriquez assigned to Águilas Cibaeñas. November 3rd, 2025, Baltimore Orioles signed right-handed pitcher Gene Henriquez to a minor league contract. So what I see here, Jordan, is a man who did not play baseball in an organized fashion for a decade and is now going to be on the Norfolk Tides.
That's right. There is so much more about Mr. Henriquez that I'm still trying to dig into. And thankfully, honestly, to be continued. I do have some details, but I will save them because this podcast has gone long. But it is an amazing story, and I look forward to him being the Orioles' 8th inning guy by June. He's throwing 99, by the way.
I think you will. That's amazing. I think you will maybe be able to talk to Mr. Henriquez when we are in the Dominican in 3 weeks.
That is the hope. That is the hope. So we will see. It is one hell of a story. And yeah, he's throwing 99 miles an hour. So it's just absurd. That is Uggla. That is as Uggla as it gets. Thank you to Andrew Hartz, Ingrid Rosas for producing this lengthy Friday edition of Baseball Barbacast. You can email us at baseballbarbacast@gmail.com. That's BARBcast. Next week, we finally dig into free agency in full, previewing
Finally.
the class. We're going to have a special guest, I believe, a repeat special guest. I won't spoil that, but I'm very excited about it. But until then, enjoy your weekend, folks. We will talk to you all very soon.